Good morning, boys and girls. Mr. Stromberger here. Hey, this is day 2 of our Park Explorers class, and I want to say good job on that aging the tree activity that we did yesterday. That was pretty cool to see kind of how old trees are that are in your backyard or in your neighborhood. So good job with that. So today we are going to be focusing on the food web or the food chain. It's kind of the same, two different words for the same type of thing. It's where animals and plants kind of need each other to survive, right? So we are going to be focusing on that, and that's pretty much going to be the whole theme of our class, right? And I talked about that earlier. But when we talk about the food chain or the food web, there's pretty much 3 different organisms or types of living things that are in the food web. Now, the first thing is primary producers or plants, right? All the energy from the sun um, creates plants, right? Plants need energy from the sun. So they make sugar with it, which they use to kind of live, but they take power from the sun, water, and carbon dioxide, the gas that we breathe out, and they make oxygen for us, and they are, I mean, without plants on Earth, our Earth would not probably be able to survive the way it does, okay? So that's kind of the base. That's the bottom of the food chain. Everything kind of comes from plants. So many animals eat plants and use plants, right? And so do we. So there's producers. There's also consumers. Now, when you consume something, you're actually using it, right? So with us, like we are consumers. We consume rice and we consume hamburgers and we consume these things. Same thing with other animals on Earth, right? Like rabbits, they eat grass. Foxes, they eat squirrels, right? They're all consumers, okay? So that's like the second category of organisms. And the third and last one is called decomposers. Now we're going to be talking about decomposers tomorrow, but decomposers are essentially small organisms that kind of eat up dead stuff, right? So you think of beetles and worms and millipedes and sow bugs and all these kind of little critters that like eat dead wood. They might eat, once an animal dies, they might start to eat some of the bones and stuff from that animal to kind of make more nutrients for plants. So it's kind of like a big circle, right? A plant grows, things eat that plant, transfer energy, and then eventually the thing that ate that plant is going to die and go back into the soil, which gives more nutrients for more plants to grow. So it's a really cool thing, and it's what all ecosystems are based on, right? So today I have a little activity for you that was created by the staff at Fallen Timbers. Now, Fallen Timbers is out in Black Creek, and hopefully we'll get to go out there and check it out during our class. But the staff over there do some really cool outdoor activities. I saw one, and hey, teachers share stuff, right? So I thought that we could use their material today and do a really cool thing. So your activity today is exploring the food web using this worksheet. So essentially, you are going to get outside, and the materials you are going to need for this activity are 1 dice from maybe some kind of board game you have at your house. Maybe you have Yahtzee or something. You could pick 1 dice from that, and some sidewalk chalk. Now, all of you are either in 1st through 3rd grade, so I'm pretty sure you have some sidewalk chalk. If not, maybe borrow some from a neighbor after you sanitize, of course. Or you can just use some paper and some markers, okay? So essentially this worksheet is gonna be on Seesaw, but essentially it says you take a dice and you roll that dice, and this chart down here is going to tell you what animal is associated with that dice that you picked. You could roll a 1 and get a fox. You could roll a 2 and get a toad. And actually a 2, that's what I rolled when I came out here. So I rolled a 2 and I got a toad. So I came out here with some sidewalk chalk and I drew a picture of a toad, okay? Now, then you want to kind of think about what would a toad or a frog eat? Well, I know toads they live in the grass, and sometimes they can eat grasshoppers, right? So I drew an arrow, and then I drew a little grasshopper, okay? So then I'm thinking, well, what can a grasshopper eat? Well, grasshoppers live in the grass and they chew grass, right? They eat grass. So I drew another arrow to grass and a sun above it, because the grass needs the sun to survive. It pretty much eats sunshine in a way, okay? And then also I drew over here an owl, because owl is they call that an owl an apex predator. Nothing else really eats an owl, but owls do eat toads and frogs, okay? The only other arrow that I did not draw here was that when an owl dies, the bones and the feathers and everything else that is in the owl goes back into the earth, goes back into the soil, and plants use those nutrients to grow new plants, right? So I could have drawn another big arrow over from the owl to the grass, but you know, that's just like the circle of life, right? So I'd like for you to load up a picture of your creation today after you do this worksheet, and yeah, and learn about the food web and think about some of the interactions of our food webs, okay? So have fun doing it. We'll see you tomorrow.